If you're someone who's chasing bigger income all of the time, I want bigger income, I want bigger income, I want bigger income, but you're never thinking about literally having bigger multiplication, you are missing the trick of the century. You see, most people are trying to earn another £10,000 instead of making their first £10,000 work harder for them. Take a second right now and just think to yourself, what would happen if you actually got your current £10,000 to work harder for you than kept going out there trying to get another £10,000 to come through? I can tell you what would happen, because the same thing happened to me. Your life would change. The moment we realize how to prioritize and organize is the same moment that we get our wealth to start to optimize. Instead of saying to yourself all of the time, how can I get that next pay rise? I was that person. I'll put my hands up. I remember a number of years ago, I was working in a school. The school I was working in was actually paying me quite well. But I got an opportunity to go and work in another school in the same location, same area roughly. And I decided to take that new job because it came with a £6,000 annual salary income increase. And I was like, yo, £6,000 extra, I'm in. Let me tell you what I should have done instead. I should have thought about the tax ramifications. I should have thought about the additional cost it was going to cost me, because it did cost me slightly more, to travel to that new workplace. Because let me tell you something super transparently. I took that income increase and in less than 12 months, I resigned from the new job. Samuel, why did you resign from the new job? The reason I resigned from the new job is because the new job cost me more to get there. The new job resulted in me paying more taxes. The new job was such a barrier to my wealth, it felt like I was still getting paid the same as when I was at the old job. Now, why does that happen? Why did that happen to me? It happened to me the same way it can happen to you, because I was more focused on a new £6,000 coming through than what my current £6,000 was able to do. Most people are trying to earn another £10,000 instead of making their current £10,000 just work harder. What would happen if you thought differently about it? You see, there's people who take their current £10,000 and spend it. And that's okay. That's okay if you want to do it that way. That's okay. There's people who take their current £10,000 and save it. And that's okay. That's okay if you want to do it that way. Now, I actually don't want to do it either of those ways. And I can break down exactly why I don't want to do it either of those ways. That's because I believe there's only 3 things you can do with money. Now, most people have never heard of these 3 things because they think there's 4 things or 5 things or 10 things or a million things you can do with money. Well, I'm not trying to be funny, but the truth is there's only 3 things you can do with money. So what most people typically ask me at this point is, Samuel, what are the 3 things, the only 3 things you can do with money? I'll tell you what they are. The first thing you can do with money is waste it. We've all got that friend, don't look to the left or the right, who literally wastes every pound, every dollar, every euro, every cent. We've all got that friend. Because that's one of the 3 things you can do with money. You can waste money. And most people don't realize that there's only 3 things they can do with money. And they're typically the people who end up wasting most of their money. Here's the second thing you can do with money. Besides waste it, money gives you the opportunity to spend it. What is spending money, Samuel? Spending money is taking the money you do have and exchanging it for something else that you desire. Now, if that thing is not a waste, then you haven't spent the money, you've wasted the money. Now, the third thing you can do with money, and if I ask you to let me know in the comments, what's the third thing you can do with money? You're probably going to say, oh, Samuel, I know the third thing. I know the third thing. You can save money, can't you, Samuel? No, you can't. Okay. Now, this is usually a big conundrum for people when I share this with my friends, because when I share this with my friends, a lot of my friends say, but Samuel, I'm sure you can save money. I was taught that in school. And in response to that, I typically say you can't use school tactics in order to create non-school outcomes. Financial freedom is a non-school outcome, and they don't talk about financial freedom in school. So tactics that are used in school, like savings, are not the tactics that work for you to rule. So Samuel, how can you tell me you can't save money? I just put my money in the bank. Well, if you could really save money, and if saving money was such a great idea, then my question to you would be, what does the bank do when you put your £10,000 through? Because if saving money was such a great idea, I'll tell you what the bank would do. The moment you put your money into the bank with the great idea of saving your money, the bank would take that money and put it in another bank and save the money. But the bank doesn't do that. The bank never does that. The bank never will do that, because the bank has realized that saving is a scam. And the only people that fall for it are the people that are thinking they're saving. If saving was such a great idea, the bank you saving would be saving. But instead, the bank you saving is not saving. The bank you saving is doing the third thing you can do with money, which is invest it. Whilst you attempt to use the school tactic to achieve a non-school outcome by taking your hard-earned income and attempting to save it in a bank, the bank is not saving any of it. The bank realize that the scam, and for those of you who don't know what scam stands for, let me tell you, scam stands for steal, confused about, you guessed it, money. And I can share with you that an obvious reveal that someone is still confused about money is the fact that they do things that the people they're doing the things with are not even doing the same thing. If you're going to take money that you've earned and place it in a bank because you think that's something you can do with money, you're going to be very quickly rude awakened when you realize, from taking a sit down and a moment to think, that the bank you save your money in doesn't save your money. So what does that mean? That means that the bank is telling you that saving money is not something you can actually do. So for most people who put money in a bank and wait for the end of the year for their 0.0101p to be paid to them, they don't realize that the bank is not going to save that money somewhere else. The bank is going to invest that money, because there's only three things you can do with money. You can waste it, you can spend it, or you can invest it. And if you think you're saving, what are you really doing? You're probably really wasting or spending, thinking you're saving, which doesn't exist because the bank is investing. So the bank gets to take that money, invest that money, generate a 9%, 10%, 12%, 200%, 28% return on their investment, which is really your investment, and pay you a 0.001 pence shoddy crumb, whilst you look around and ask what needs to be done. Whilst most people are trying to earn another £10,000, you should instead be someone who's recognizing how to make your first £10,000 work harder for you. Don't be the person who just spends it. Don't be the person who thinks they can save it and inadvertently, as a result, is wasting it. But be the person instead who can multiply it. If you start to be someone who can study inflation and understand what inflation is, you'll quickly understand that placing your money in the bank is more wasting it than it is spending it. Because incremental partnerships, as I often say when I speak to my close friends, creates exponential results. Don't be the person who's dwindling away the income that you worked so hard to get paid. Instead, be someone who understands the characteristics and the constructs of an investment, so that those investments can become investments for you. and hopefully an inheritance for your children and your children's children that you also bring through. Gone are the days of not being aware of what's taking place in the landscape. Be the person who starts to understand, oh, I get what's happening. We were all hoodwinked into thinking we should put our money in the bank. But the reality is our money shouldn't go to the bank because the bank is going to do what I can do to make my own wealth come through. I can invest my money. And investing is going to give me a return on my investment. But spending money is not going to give me a return on my investment. And wasting money is not going to give me a return on my investment. So what do I need to do? I need to start a process of investment. Because incremental partnerships create exponential results. Let me give you a framework that's going to help you with this whole process. This framework is super simple. Okay? The first thing you want to do is take your income. And when you take your income, employ it into a process of allocation. Okay? Allocate what's coming in. Don't be someone who just lets what comes in come in. When it comes in, allocate it. Already know where it's going. Already know its direction, so over time it can create a form of financial protection. Through the allocation, ensure that at least one of your buckets is assets. Okay? Have assets as one of the buckets in which you're sending or directing your money. Now, what happens if you have assets in your list of direction in which you're sending your money? Oh my gosh, some great news for you. Your assets produce cash flow. And the joy of your assets producing cash flow, it gives you the opportunity to reinvest. This is possible for you. This is possible for me. This is possible for anybody. You don't have to have a £5,000 per month salary in order to follow this process. You don't have to be someone who is, as they say in the UK, minted to follow this process. This process is so simple. If you employ it, it will literally, over time, employ you. It will be able to literally replace your income and allow you to make more money and some. But you have to be committed to it. You have to make that decision. And you have to be the one who takes the steps. So if this resonates with you, I want you to write in the comments the word reinvestment so that I know that this is a path that you're willing to go. As I usually say, small keys open up big doors.
Small keys open big doors.